Hi everybody. So I'm going to talk about Riverbend Food Bank and Community Healthcare Incorporated. The Riverbend Food Bank is located here in Davenport, Iowa, and it's one of 200 giant food banks that are covered under the umbrella of the Feeding America program, which covers 200 across the country, and so this is one of them. And they distribute food to I think it's like it's like 400. I have my notes here. I forgot about this assignment. It didn't get into my calendar, so just kind of got this together real quick. So they let me back up. So they rescue and distribute food throughout the western Illinois and eastern Iowa on the Mississippi River. We just kind of straddle the river, and then we're called the Quad Cities because we have a few towns in Iowa and a few in Illinois, and we all together are called the Quad Cities. So the Riverbend Food Bank distributes food to I'm gonna find that number. It's like 200 different locations across 55 counties. And it's mostly church groups. It's all kinds of groups, but a lot of church groups show up in the mornings, early mornings, with their trucks or their personal vehicles, and they just load up food that they order ahead of time. There's an online program where they could pick and choose what they want. Whether it's like shelf-stable items like cans and boxes and stuff, or if there's some amount of produce that they can get to, they can order that ahead. And they pick up their stuff and they take it back to their facility, and then they distribute to their people. So it's all these tiny little food banks around the Quad Cities, Illinois and Iowa. They get all of their food items from this central hub, the Riverbend Food Bank. It's 23 counties. So they get a huge support from this community. The schools have little rivalries going on throughout the school year. Just who can donate them, like get the most donations for the food bank and get the most cash or like canned donations, and that's one of the measures of success. Not only, so they distribute 500 meals through partner agencies every year. So that's a pretty big number. The Quad Cities total is about 700,000 people. So 5 million meals is a lot. I wonder if it's actually more than that now. This might be an older figure, but they have so much support from. They just get donations. I did some of my my community internship there, and just they have thousands of volunteers every year, and they have just the support from the community. Our local Hy-Vee grocery store chain, it's a Midwest chain, they do a thing at the register where you can like whatever your total is for your groceries, you can round it up, and then that extra change goes to the food bank. Like Hy-Vee is a bigger deal than the food bank, but they're just such a huge supporter. And the food bank also, it's they reclaim food. So they do a lot of, everything they do is great, but they have a lot of different initiatives going. So they reclaim food that would otherwise be thrown away. Like they have partnerships with local gas stations that are going to end up throwing away, like if they make breakfast sandwiches or something and have them in like a hot serving thing, and they're going to throw it away at the end of the day because they can't save it till tomorrow. They have volunteers that go and pick up all that food, and they're then able to distribute it to like another, like a hot meals kitchen downtown that night. So that's just one example, but there's lots of different food items that they can collect and donate to different organizations. So yeah, the success rate, so that's, I kind of touched on that, but yeah, just the huge support, it makes them very successful and indicates that they have the backing, and so everyone believes in them, and they've distributed a lot of meals and a lot of food. Let's see, they also they have a WIC program and a backpack program where volunteers come in and pack backpacks every fall for kids going back to school. And a lot of church groups. Oh yeah, and they also have their own 2 mini food pantries that they've occupied some space in. These are 2 local malls, one on the Illinois side and one on the Iowa side, that are just about vacant now. So they took over some old store space to set up a mini food pantry, and they have shelves and things are organized just as they would be in a grocery store. And people essentially, they have to fill out a form. Gosh, the gnats are terrible. They have to fill out a form for, like, accounting purposes, just so we keep track of the numbers and stuff, and so they know who they're serving. But constituent or community members can then just kind of go shopping. They get a shopping cart and they just pick out the shelves whatever they want, and then volunteers help bag it at the end and take it to their car, and it's pretty much just like a shopping experience for them. And so yeah, they have one in the mall here and one in the mall there, and they have set hours, and they're next to a bus stop, so they tried to make it as easy as possible at both locations to help as many people as they can. Some questions I would ask, I guess, yeah, how are the meals defined? So if they distribute 5 million meals through partner agencies in the year, because people get individual items, so how are they considering what a meal is? Because they don't actually have a meal site. They don't do congregate meals. So I'm just curious. I guess I would think that's 5 million items that they donate, but it said meals. So that's a question I had. And then I know they get funding from everywhere. They have a lot of, like, John Deere is headquartered here, and they donate a lot. And Tyson, I know, has donated a ton of meat. And I know that they've been trying to get more fresh produce, frozen produce, like frozen meat. But they also really try to stress that they would prefer cash donations, because with such a big organization has bigger buying power, so their dollars and their professional purchasers, that money goes further than, like, if I were to go in and buy them like frozen fish or something. They could get more of it through their bulk purchases. And then I was curious, I know they have a board of directors and a CEO. I guess I wondered, they don't have a dietitian. So I was the first one, when I did my internship there, the first dietitian that they had, that had interned there, and that had ever really been in their building and worked with them for a little while. So, because they have a WIC program, I would think that they would benefit from having just some, good quality information delivered by a registered dietitian, and especially because a lot of these people have chronic diseases, a lot of type 2 diabetes and heart disease. So just kind of walking through what I did as for my internship, I walked the guests through the aisles and just kind of talked about, like, good, better, best options. And we actually had it was a stoplight kind of thing, where some items on the bottom shelf were marked with a red light thing to indicate, not necessarily like stop and don't touch this. It was like the cake mixes and sodas and stuff that the food pantry did get donations of from grocery stores, because like when you're gonna, they didn't necessarily want it, but you're not going to turn down, they're not going to turn things away when they're getting, also with the cake mix and the soda, they're also getting produce and stuff. So they were just, they had it. So and then there was the yellow light was, so the red light was moderation. The yellow light was, once a little more often is fine, but then the green light indicated, all the time. So that was obviously the produce, and then like the canned tomatoes and other canned vegetables. If it was marked, if it was like low sodium, it would go on with the green category, but if it had regular amounts of sodium, it was in the yellow category. And I would go and explain that to the guests, like, this is why this one's here and this one's up here. And then we would talk about frozen vegetables and how they are just as nutritious as fresh vegetables, maybe even more so, depending how long the fresh vegetables had been there, or just, like trucking issues and stuff like that, where fresh is usually picked and frozen right away, and so it's good for a while. Just stuff like that was really great. So I would like to see them have a dietitian, and I wonder why they don't, because they actually paid pretty well. They had a small staff, but their salaries were really pretty good, I thought. So it seemed like they could afford one. Okay, so, and then I have a few more things to say about them at the end, but Community Healthcare Incorporated is my other one. They are, they have 3 locations, is it 3 locations? Yeah, I think in the Quad Cities here. And they're kind of attached to this Genesis Health Systems, which is one of our 2 major hospitals in the Quad Cities. But they kind of operate, they're sort of like an urgent care, but they also cover all the things. So it's acute care and chronic care, everything, on a sliding scale for sliding scale fees for their services if one meets the qualifications. But they also take Medicare, Medicaid, private insurance, no insurance. But they have dietitians. They have a bunch at each of their locations, and they offer dental care, and they provide transportation, and they have a WIC program. So then they do all the medical services. They have behavioral health, OBGYN and women's health, pharmacy. They've got a lab. They have a pain clinic, and they do school-based health in some of the lower income school districts. And they serve 40 plus zip codes in the surrounding area. Last year they served 40,000 individuals and treated 250 homeless kids, 893 homeless adults, 400 veterans, 13,000 dental screenings, 1,600 babies under the age of 1, and 5,000 kids under the age of 10. I know those numbers don't all add up to 40,000, but that's what they, those are the figures that they offered on their website. So they, and I'm curious about their funding. I didn't see much, and I'm sure it has, some of it's through the hospital and government funding because it's not a nonprofit, but I don't know, and I don't ever hear about fundraising for them either, so it's got to be, just government funded through the hospital. There's a lot of different changes going with our hospital systems right now. A lot of mergers, and a lot of it's going to be like faith-based, actually. Mercy One is buying Genesis. Genesis was already faith-based, and they bought, before that it was was something Lutheran something hospital. So just kind of found that interesting. So theoretical orientations on which the interventions are or might be based. So these two are both, one is focused on food distribution, one is focused on healthcare, but with both of them, the food bank will also sign you up for, if you want to sign up for SNAP benefits, they can help you with that. The application's on their website. And Community Healthcare has a link on, a few links on their website where they can link you up with finding food. And the food bank also can get you more services with healthcare. So they're both, I mean, they're only a few blocks from each other in town. And they focus on different things, but they are all in it. They want to help people with whatever they are in need of. So I kind of, I have this weird vision of a trapper keeper with both of them. Like they have so many little pockets and folders and like little, they just have so many programs that can merge with each other, or they've got just a lot, like it's all social workers primarily and counselors, and they just, I think they're all really great at knowing what services are around the Quad Cities, and we have a ton. Tons. I had tons to choose from, and I know most of them just studying and living here for the last 20 years. We've got a lot of resources because we have a lot of need. But anyway, so theoretical orientation. So goals of the programs. The food bank. So through rescuing and distributing food, the food bank is operating on the understanding that people cannot lead productive lives if they are food insecure. So they want to really cover that basis for all people who need it. Nobody should be food insecure. When we have an abundance, was it in that SNAP article? I read so many articles lately, but like we produce like 3,600 more calories than per person than is needed for everyone in the country to be food secure. But I guess that didn't cover like food that's wasted. But anyway, getting off topic. So the understanding that kids can't learn, they understand, that's their mission. They understand that kids cannot learn in school if they're going to school hungry, and if they're hungry throughout the day, that's just, they can't learn. They can't focus, concentrate. Just the effects on their whole being, interacting with other students and teachers, and things just don't work if people are, and kids are hungry. So, and where there's a ton of food locally that would otherwise go to waste, the food bank has become incredibly resourceful with the help of thousands of dedicated volunteers each year at sourcing this food and getting it to where it is needed most. And I thought the healthcare, community healthcare, their theoretical orientation, to provide quality, affordable healthcare to community members who may be more likely to be at risk for chronic disease due to circumstances in their lives. And it's also, a lot of these folks don't have, they're homeless. Right downtown where this center is located, it's near a huge, I don't remember what it's called, Martin Luther King Center. It's a meal site, and like these people don't have addresses. So I remember I was at the DMV to get my driver's license renewed or something, and two guys came in. One guy he drove this other guy in. The guy who got the ride was trying to get an ID, not a driver's license, but just an identification, because he wanted to get a job. He was offered a job, but he had to have some kind of identification. But he was homeless and he didn't have an address, So the DMV supervisor was not going to give him an ID until he came back with a piece of mail. So she gave him all these reasons, like, or how you can get a piece of mail with your name and address. You could use the homeless shelter as your address, but that would take days, if not weeks, to just get any kind of letter. Like, it would have to be, and it's got to be a bill, or like an electrical bill or something, not just junk mail. Anyway, this poor guy and the frustrated helper guy, they would just like, this is ridiculous. He's trying to get a job, and he just needs something with his face and his name on it. And he left. They just left in disgust. But I guess my point is, I don't know what the SNAP application looks like, but for people to get food assistance benefits, I imagine you have to have some kind of a residence, some kind of identifying information, and the food bank and food pantries, you don't. So those you just walk into, like, and especially like the churches that distribute the food. So that's nice. I understand you have to have, we have to be able to count numbers in order to know how many people we're serving and stuff like that, so we can know if we're being effective or not. But I think getting an identification is very hard for people struggling with everything in their lives. So I guess, okay, so my operational definition of success for both of them, that they're providing health and nutrition education that reaches all minorities, ethnic backgrounds, genders, and age groups, and continue to engage in outreach measures in order to offer services to all individuals in need. They both have the same, not word for word, but very, the same goals in mind. Like, there's no, they're just trying to serve the community and just in the greater good. And why necessary to develop operational definitions? To be able to report to boards of directors and any investors on successes of the programs they offer, and show how they're keeping in line with their mission and vision statements, to continue receiving funding. And the SNAP policy changes. So I just had a little anecdote, I guess. So we had the Hy-Vee, oh my God, I'm going on way too long. Okay, so Hy-Vee is a local, the Midwest chain of grocery stores. One of them closed down on the West End, and it left this huge vacant building in place, and it's a food desert now. So there's no grocery stores for miles and miles, and there's really no bus stops down in that neighborhood. So people now don't have anywhere to get groceries except for the gas station. So I was thinking that if they had like the farmer's market could do a mobile food pantry, they wouldn't need, so that's free food, but there could also be something with the farmer's market downtown, where trucks, because they are, a lot of the vendors at the food market, or the farmer's market, at the end, I was thinking they take SNAP benefits, sorry, and at the end of the weekly farmer's market, they could, people with their produce could drive through these neighborhoods and maybe offer it at a discount, but they could also still be taking SNAP benefits. So people in these food deserts could then be getting what's left of the produce, because I've just, speaking to some of them, they end up just kind of giving it away at the end of the day, because they don't want to take it back home. So if they do have stuff left over, they could drive through these communities and still get some profit for their produce. They also offer eggs and frozen beef products and stuff like that. So that was a thing I thought maybe, and then you could get more awareness about SNAP and the accessibility of all this great local produce and meat products and stuff like that. Oh, it's way too long. I have a lot more written down and ideas about that, but I'll submit that in my assignment. Anyway, if anybody watches this, I'm terribly sorry. Just very sorry. Okay, thanks. Bye.